Excited.
Yeah, fantastic. It's nice to have you here. My name's Erin Liakos, if you want to know my last name. What's your name again? Daniel. So thank you so much for coming. Today, the program we're going to be working through together is called Plan and Prepare for Work Readiness. We've got 2 sessions today. So overall, it's going to go for an hour, but we've split it into 2 30-minute sessions, so there'll be a break in between. Session 1, we're going to be looking at understanding where you are and where you want to go. So that's all about planning, specifically unpacking that one, looking at identifying and prioritizing personal work goals, identifying possible work progression opportunities, existing skills and knowledge. So that's going to be the first session today. We'll have a bit of a break and then we'll move on to the second session, which is preparing. So how you get from just that planning stage and what are the next steps. So we're going to assess current skill and knowledge gaps, research ways to develop professionally, and write a development plan. Just quickly for some housekeeping, if you have any questions, just let me know throughout. It's just the 2 of us, so I want you to feel really comfortable to just sort of have that conversation and ask if you need to. Yep. As I've mentioned, this should only go for an hour, but we will have that break in between. Yep. If you do need to, have a break at any point during each 30-minute session, that's completely fine. But otherwise, there will be that scheduled break. You mentioned that you weren't able to bring your laptop today, which is perfectly fine. We'll just do a little bit of research using your phone, if that's okay with you. Yeah, perfect. There's not too much that we need to do using like a laptop. It'll be more sort of brainstorming on the paper. But there will be a little bit of research we'll do just for a few minutes. Do you have any questions for me before?
Not really. You seem to unpack it pretty well.
Okay.
If I have any others.
Yeah, just shout out.
Yeah.
Perfect. So first off, I just wanted to get a little bit of an understanding of what you come here for today, and what you're maybe hoping to get out of it, if it's 1 or 2 sort of key things you're hoping to get out of today.
Yeah, well, I'm just towards the end of my degree. I'm just finishing up and I'm now thinking of where I want to progress in the future. So I just need to figure out how to first apply for proper jobs, big office jobs, big people jobs, and then just sort of figure out goals and set them, figure out what a good goal is as opposed to sort of like a childhood goal. Yeah,
absolutely. What uni course are you currently?
So I'm just doing marketing.
And
I'm in my final year, so
cool, awesome. Perfect. So this is definitely the course that I think is going to really help you. We've spread it out, so between the 2 sessions, you'll get some really great tips that you can take away. Obviously, we've only got an hour, so really it's going to be quite surface level, but hopefully, at the very least, you'll be able to come up with some key concepts that you can then sort of develop further. You might have more questions, which we can absolutely stay in touch afterwards, that's fine, and we can work through a development plan together. But yeah, you'll be able to take quite a lot away from this, I hope. So we'll jump straight in. The first part of the session, we're going to be looking at identifying and prioritizing work goals. So I've looked at this and I've separated out into 3 steps. And I think what's really important when we're thinking about goals is, number 1 is just identifying exactly what it is that we want to do. But then number 2, really clarifying it. Have you ever used the SMART goal method before?
No.
Never heard of it?
No.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I'll take you through that. There are so many ways to create goals. This one's a really common one, and you'll hear a lot of workplaces talk about SMART or SMARTer goals. So I'll just quickly take you through that, and we'll look at clarifying some of these goals as you sort of specified, like rather than it being like a childhood goal, like thinking about it being more of an adult or a work goal. So we're identifying, we're going to be clarifying those goals, and then we're going to look at prioritizing them. And that's essentially how we're going to be thinking about getting them off the paper. That's what is going to get us going, rather than it just sort of staying where it is and not really knowing where to start. We'll try and figure out what some of those starting points might be, or what those more important goals might be. Do you have any questions about those 3 steps so far?
Not yet.
Great. So first off, we'll jump straight into an activity. I'll give you 2 minutes for this one. I just want you to, you can use any colour that you want to. With the paper I've got in front of you, just brainstorm and list some personal and professional goals. Be as messy as you want, blue sky as you want. Obviously we're looking professionally, but it is great to chuck down any personal ones there as well. So I'll give you 2 minutes to do that, and just let me know if you, need any more information or any going? Do you think you need any more time, or have you got?
Just finishing off this last one.
Yeah, absolutely, go for it.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too long.
No rush. Still got plenty of time.
Cool.
Great, awesome. Looks like you got a few goals down there. How did you find that activity? Was anything there sort of surprising? Were there things you already had in your mind, like it was quite easy?
Yeah, it's all pretty on top of my mind.
Yeah.
Most of it, if not all of it, is related to work in furthering. I've got the one personal travelling goal that doesn't everyone, to be fair, but
yeah, absolutely.
they're all sort of job related.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think that's what this whole process really helps to identify, that often we actually have these goals, as you've mentioned, already in our brain on the top of our mind, and they're not that hard to uncover and then clarify, but it can be difficult when you don't know what the next steps are outside of just having this idea of what you want to achieve. Actually putting it on paper and then taking those next steps to achieve it is what can be really difficult. So that's what this whole program's about. How did you find there were sort of any ones, like what was the first one that you wrote down, the first one that came to mind?
Pretty much just land a job in the field that I'm studying.
Yep.
But what I have looked at and noticed is it feels like a few of these goals are very similar to each other. So I'm not sure if they could be condensed into one goal that would. But we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely, they could be. Are there any others that maybe don't sort of just say land a full-time job? Like, are there any others that you want to?
I've got I feel like the work that I'm completing for my company is valuable and effective.
Yeah.
And not be afraid to find the right job, even though it might take a bit longer than I'm ready for.
Fantastic, really great goals. So I think this next step is really going to help in terms of potentially combining some that might seem quite similar. So this is the SMART goal method, and what we're going to be doing is clarifying these goals that you've written down and really making them specific. So SMART goals are separated out, or it's an analogy. So specific for S, the goal is concrete, it's tangible, everybody knows what it looks like, so it's really easy to understand what you're trying to achieve. Measurable, the goal has an objective measure of success that everyone can understand. Attainable, it's challenging, but it should also be achievable. A lot of people, they create these goals without actually thinking about whether it's realistic, whether it can be achieved. And it's easy to forget that goals can be created in milestones and stepping stones as well. They don't just have to be this one big goal. Sometimes the best goals are, I'm going to do this one next thing. My goal is to complete uni by the end of next year. That's my one goal. And then my next goal might be something different. So that's where we're going to be looking at that attainable part. Relevant, so the goal meaningfully contributes to larger objectives like the overall mission. And timely, the goal has a deadline, or better yet, a timeline of progress milestones. So again, what this is really looking at is just making these goals, or really clarifying these goals for you, so you know how you can achieve them, and you can start to consider what it is you need to do to achieve the goals. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions about that so far?
No, it makes sense. Yeah.
Awesome. So I've popped an example here, and I remember, when you sent through your request or your inquiry, you'd mentioned that you were in marketing, so I'm glad that I remembered that correctly. This is just a very broad one. So an example of a SMART goal, I will earn a certificate for in marketing by the end of 2024. After earning the marketing certification, I will apply to at least 5 entry-level marketing positions within the retail industry by February 2025. So there's actually kind of 2 goals there. It's 2-stepped.
Yeah.
But we're really specific. We've added exactly what it is that we're trying to achieve. So certificate for in marketing by the end of 2024.
Yeah.
So that's our first goal. That's really easy to understand. After earning this certification, I'll apply to at least 5 entry-level marketing positions. Again, really easy to understand what we're trying to achieve within the retail industry. So specifically, now this might obviously change. This doesn't have to be your goal.
Yeah.
But you could say, within an industry that interests me, or you've got that goal there that you want to make sure that your work is valued. So within an industry that aligns with my values, or for a company that sparks interest, it could be something like that. It doesn't have to be quite in the detail, but and then you've got that time period. I've kind of gone through it there, but that just kind of breaks down this goal.
Yeah.
So again, specific owner marketing certification in a high demand area, chucking that target date, measurable, successfully pass the cert. Attainable, make sure it aligns with your interest and your experience. Research that difficulty level and the time commitment involved, which what we're doing today will kind of kick that off for you. Relevant, so make sure you're just bearing in mind that the certificate training that you're trying to do, is that what's going to get you this role? Is that actually relevant to this next step?
Yeah.
And then time bound. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of your goals there. It can be 1 or 2, we've just got 3 to 5 minutes, just depends how long you feel like you need. And I'm going to get you to create a SMART goal. It could be a stepped SMART goal if you'd like, with some milestones for us to work from. So maybe if you try and do maybe 2 or 3 if you can, or 1 or 2, whatever you can do in 5 minutes. Because the next step after this will be prioritizing goals.
Yep.
So I'll explain that in a second, but even if we don't get to creating SMART goals with some of those ones that you've got there, that's fine. We'll just use them as an example of how we prioritize. So let's start with 3 minutes and see how you're going. Did you want any more information about this SMART goals, or do you just kind of want to jump in, try to tackle it?
I'll jump in, and then if I have any questions.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, go for it.
Yep.
Something that I find interesting is when we go to think about SMART goals, we write it down SMART, and then you say specific, and specific ends up being the goal with everything in it.
Yeah.
And you found that that's what's happened for you.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Writing it specifically, just following it down.
Yeah. So yeah.
Answer the door.
Yeah. It kind of ends up answering itself once you have to write specifically.
Yeah.
I feel like the S kind of encompasses everything in a way.
Yeah.
We've got a little bit more time if you felt like you wanted to do another one, or do you feel kind of happy with?
I can do another one, but I don't need to.
Cool, that's fine.
Yeah.
I feel like you understand the premise of setting up a SMART goal and
Very
all
much
that.
so.
Fantastic. We'll move on then to prioritizing. So this one is a method that was created by Brian Tracy. I'm sure it may not have been created by him, but he's the person who made it famous through his book called Eat That Frog, which I've got here. The video isn't Brian Tracy, but it's just a reference of him and prioritizing goals. It talks specifically to, well, this is the video that's about to come up. It talks specifically to sort of prioritizing tasks, but really when we think about a goal, they are tasks. They're just big tasks rather than those little mundane tasks that you do every day. So I think it is incredibly relevant. But what I'll do is I'll just show you this video. You said you'd never heard of the ABCDE prioritization technique before. And then we'll have a bit of a conversation about what you think of it, whether you think it will be helpful. Again, as I mentioned, one of the things we're going to be doing is going through and prioritizing some of your goals. We may not need that long to do that if you kind of understand the concept, and we haven't really had that much time to flesh out a bunch of different goals and tasks that we might need to achieve. And perhaps we can come back to it later, but we'll just give it a go and see how we feel it works with what we've done.
Throughout our day, we're constantly inundated with a variety of tasks that we have to complete, errands that we have to run, and deadlines that we have to meet. This happens so often and can seem so intense that it becomes truly overwhelming. Now, you may have tried out listing out items on a standard to-do list, which is a great start, but it doesn't give you an effective attack plan in order to successfully prioritize and get things done. On any given day, we might be juggling to-dos ranging from replying to emails, shopping for groceries, or getting enough exercise. It can feel like we're solely striving to work our way through a checklist without assessing whether the stuff that we are doing has any true effect on our goals or long-term plans. This is where personal development expert Brian Tracy comes in. Tracy is best known for his book, Eat That Frog, a technique to stop procrastinating and get things done. But where I believe he stands out is his practical approach to prioritization, called the ABCDE method. It works like this. Grab yourself a piece of paper and list out all the tasks that you need to complete. Once that's done, you'll need to begin assigning the letters A, B, C, D, and E to your tasks depending on their level of importance and priority. A includes items that are the most important. These bring you closer to your goals and you cannot avoid them. There also tends to be a potentially grand downside should you not complete them. This could be work that might affect a client or that your boss is asking for, and you want to try to limit this to about 3 items. List them as A1, A2, and A3 in order of priority and just get them done. It's what Brian Tracy calls the frogs in your life that you need to tackle. B includes items that you should do, but have relatively minor consequences. The rule that you should follow is that you never do a B task before all the A tasks have been completed. Generally, this tends to be items like returning phone calls or replying to emails. C tasks are those that you probably want to get done and do not have any consequences. Now, you don't want to leave these out, but they're generally not related to your work or your goals. So this could be things like running errands or grabbing lunch with a friend. Next are D tasks. So this is the category where you're hoping to delegate to someone else in order for you to focus on more important items in your A category. A good way to think about this is figuring out whether someone else could handle it with a quick explanation or whether it's technically someone else's job. This is simply about resource allocation to help you focus better. Finally, there are E tasks, and E activities should ideally be eliminated. It's a good opportunity for you to audit your tasks and identify whether you really need to do everything on your list, and whether something can be eliminated. Doing this will help you channel your energy towards consequential stuff that lies in your A and B categories. In my experience, the ABCDE method has been incredibly useful as a fix for something called productive procrastination, where we tend to get busy doing a bunch of different things as a means to procrastinate on our most important work. It's a game changer, particularly when you feel like you're always doing so much in a day, but never really feel like you've accomplished anything meaningful. Make no mistake that our priorities can certainly shift. Emergencies can pop up and the importance of things can even change over time. In that case, all you need to do is revisit your list. Examine whether your A tasks are truly A tasks. Having a dialed-in focus on your most important tasks ultimately allows you to end your day with a greater sense of accomplishment and personal pride. The entire idea of this is to feel a little bit more in control of how you approach your to-do list. And once you gain a little more control over your productivity, well, things might just start to become a little easier. Thanks for watching. As always, drop a like on this video.
Alrighty. What did you think of that?
Pretty good. He explained it very simply.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as I sort of spoke through before, and we won't spend time now prioritizing, I think we'll do that later. it might not be relevant. I mean, the whole delegating piece, that might not be relevant to goals, but I think those first three are really important. So thinking about what's most important, what's something that I have to do essentially to be able to get to that next step, and really understanding the interdependencies between your goals. What's something that I should do, and then what's something that I want to do but maybe doesn't have consequences. It can be really easy when we're creating a development plan to get quite emotional and personal about things. And you might think, oh, it would be so good to do this course in Adobe Suite. But I also need to use that time to finish my actual marketing certification. So what's probably more important for me right now? What's the priority? Probably getting that certification, because that Adobe Suite would be a benefit, you know, an above and beyond benefit, rather than the thing that's going to get me the job, which is the certification, potentially. So the next thing that we're going to quickly do is where I'll get you to grab your phone, and I would just like for you to research. You can use Seek, you can use Indeed. You've had a look at jobs before using Seek and Indeed? Yeah, you've mentioned that in your inquiry. So yeah, what I'll get you to do is just have a look, just spend 2 minutes having a look for maybe an entry-level role by the sounds of it in a marketing firm. If we can find one that really aligns with your values, fantastic. But at this point, really what we're looking for is just something as an example to work on that's slightly relevant to you. So let me know when you found one. Let me know if you're having any trouble finding one. That one?
Yeah.
What have you found?
It's a junior marketing communications coordinator for the duty free
Oh,
at the
cool.
airport.
Yeah, okay, cool. That sounds like fun, actually.
Yeah.
Awesome. That one we're just going to keep aside so we're ready for it as soon as we start session 2.
Cool.
If we had a little bit more time in the session, I would have sort of spoken a little bit more to using some of those keywords within the goals that we've created. And that's something when you are searching for more professional job opportunities. Once you've really sat down and identified some of these key goals, and even what kind of industry of, what type of marketing you want to be a part of and those values, that's when you'd start to pick out some keywords from those goals and start to sort of scan for those when you're looking in your position descriptions. But we'll just stick with this one for the moment. We're going to just quickly jump into identifying existing skills and knowledge. So this is the basis of a resume. Have you written a resume before? Yeah? Awesome. I assume so, given your age and you've got a job at the moment in retail. We're going to be creating a skill inventory. So this is going right back to the basics and really understanding what it is that you have now currently in your skill inventory. So we'll look at technical skills or hard skills, soft skills, education, training, and experience. We're actually going to split the page up exactly like this, and I'm just going to get you to pop all of those things in there. Before you jump into that, I just want to quickly go through, do you know the difference between technical/hard skills and soft skills?
No, I do not.
No? Okay. So technical skills and hard skills, it's more about sort of that specific skill related to the field or the role. So as a marketer, it's probably quite important that I understand marketing analytics. That would probably, understand reading data, maybe SSOs, if that's, or SEOs, I should say, sorry. And the best way to get people to click on the link, or, social marketing. Whereas the skill, like a soft skill, is more about, you know, how's your communication style?
Yeah.
Are you really great with your time management? Those are things that are transferable between multiple workplaces, but a lot of workplaces value really highly.
Yeah.
And those are things that we create through experience. The hard skill also created through experience, but often through technical training as well, or practicing of a skill. Education and training, exactly as you assume it is. And then the experience, it really can be anything. It can be professional, volunteering, internships that you've done. I think it's also important to consider, we might not have time to consider it today, but when you're thinking about your experience, it doesn't have to be, I did 3 years at this place. It could be within this place, my experience was that, you know, I helped out with the social media, and that's experience for my marketing. So you can get down into the detail. We're not going to have time to get into the detail today, but it's just going to kickstart the thinking. So we're just going to spend a couple of minutes.
Yep.
What I'll get you to do is just do a few hard skills that you've already got and a few soft skills. We won't worry about the education and training and experience, just given the time that we've got left.
Sure.
So I'll just give you 2 minutes for that. At this stage, it's important to be just quite honest about where you're at, and then we're going to be looking at the difference between the two and how to get there. So.
Yeah.
About 30 seconds. All good?
Yep.
Great. So we're going to leave it there for the moment. It's been 30 minutes of quite a lot of thinking and writing down and brainstorming. Just to quickly overview what we've spoken about, we've talked about identifying and prioritising personal work goals and how we might look at clarifying those using the SMART goal method. We've had a brief look at identifying possible work progression opportunities and where to research new opportunities, which you've found one for the next session. And then we've done a quick skills inventory, specifically looking at our technical/hard skills and our soft skills, just given the time that we've got. So that's what we've gone through today. Before we just go on a quick break and then start the second session, do you have any questions? Is there anything that you wanted clarifying or something that hasn't made sense so far?
Not really. But just for hard skills, I know it's more like I've got here written, I'm like efficient in data analytics, but I feel like I'm sort of just writing the units that I've done well in my course at.
Yeah.
Wherever, would it just be more efficient to say my hard skill is the fact that I've finished the course? Or should I go into the nitty gritty of each?
Well, I think we'll go into this a little bit more detail, but I think the nitty gritty is important.
Yeah.
What we're going to be doing is we're going to be unpacking a position description. And within the position description, it's going to be outlining key skills that you're going to need to be successful in the role. It will likely say certification required, but then it will also say understanding of data and analytics. So it will break it down, and you'll be able to see how it needs to be broken down for you to be successful in the role. But I think what you've done is spot on. It doesn't even, in my opinion, I don't think it necessarily needs to be things that you excelled in within your role or within your certification. As long as you've had that experience, you've done it, and you understand what it is you need to do to complete that hard skill, then I would say you've got that hard skill. The experience part adds that extra dimension, because often in the interview they'll then ask, or what experience do you have in that hard skill? You can say, I've done it at uni, I understand the concept, but I could benefit from some more time. And that's where all the different layers and interdependencies come in. Does that answer your question?
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome. We'll go for a quick break, maybe we'll give 10-15 minutes, stretch your legs, and then we'll come back and start again. Great, awesome.